Marty, Beck's the first one to ever say that we're doing him a favor by having him on the show. So this is fantastic. Beck, in all seriousness, I mean, obviously, you're at a really, I think, unique stage of your career. You clearly established yourself with the Capitals last year, but this is another new opportunity and chapter for you. How do you view it all now, especially with the contract done and the focus clearly on getting ready for September?
Yeah, I think having that contract wrapped up now really just boosts the energy overall, right? Super excited about it. It was a little bit of a shock, honestly. At first, I didn't see it coming, so probably took me a couple hours there to just digest all of it. And then once I was through that, I mean, the future looked so bright in Buffalo, and just looked like a really great opportunity for me and my family to come there and be amongst a young group of guys with a really bright future. So like I said, at this stage now, it's just everything's go, and really, really excited to get out there.
Now, we were just talking about you on Tuesday and your penalty killing aspect of your game. You played over 220 a game on the penalty kill. Were you always like the first guy over the board? Do you anticipate this to be a part of your role with Buffalo? And how did that come about? Most players always are, the highly skilled 13, 14, 15-year olds, and then you have to make a change. When did that change happen with you that all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got to find that role?
Yeah, I mean, it was always a little bit different for me. I mean, growing up, I was always big and I was always physical. I liked playing that style of game. My offense really just came from being a little bit faster and a little bit stronger than guys as I grew up. And then once I hit junior, is kind of when I had to start, learning that if I wanted to take that next step to pro, what my role was going to look like, and continuing to work on the offensive side, the skilled side, but realizing that being good on the penalty kill, being good defensively, blocking shots, forechecking, that kind of stuff was going to be the first step to get me into that door. So, testament to my coaches that I had throughout junior. And then once I started in the American League, they really hammered that home with me. Development staff to coaches, they just, everything was about that process. Taking pride in the penalty kill, taking pride in the defensive zone. And it's just really allowed me to feel very comfortable in growing in that role.
This should have crossed my mind earlier, but when you mentioned development, did you have some dealings with Michael Pekka along the way?
No, that was I actually tore my Achilles the one year that
Oh, that was
Michael
the year. Okay.
was in Washington. Yeah, so I unfortunately missed him, but I heard nothing but good things about him.
Yeah, obviously that relationship was strong between he and Laviolette as it continues in New York. But the one thing that Sabre fans are craving the most, obviously, is the opportunity to get back to the playoffs. And you were part of a team last year that many didn't expect to get to the playoffs. So, what was the ingredient that you feel like is, kind of paramount to any and all team success?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody could look at our all the numbers and statistics last year, and they could very easily argue we probably didn't belong to be there, right? We were, I think it was a minus 37 or 40 goal differential. That just that doesn't happen. But realistically, if you look at the recipe that we had, it was if we got ourselves into those tight games, we would find a way to win them, right? It was 2-1, 3-2, 1-0, and we just had a belief within the group. I think that's the biggest thing. You have a character locker room, which honestly, from the guys that I know in Buffalo and have spoken to already, they say it's an amazing group of guys that get along really well. And obviously, playing against them, there was a ton of skill in that lineup. So you take that and you just add that ounce of belief and maybe a little bit of defensive detail to shut down those tight games. And you realize how small that margin is. I think we were in the midst of that five-team shuffle for the last 15 minutes of that last game, right? So every point matters, and I think when you have a group that really cares about each other, those hard moments just get a little bit easier, and that seems to be the difference between winning and losing.
We're showing your highlight reel tape from last year on MSG right now for those watching on MSG on GR while you're not hearing anything. But one thing I can tell you is that everything has speed. You're one of those guys. You were the first one with the trade, and then the Sabres added, McLeod, they added Obi Kubel, they added Lafferty, Zucker, a lot of speed. What makes you a fast player? Some would say it's their legs, some would say it's their puck playing and whatever. What makes you a fast player?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's pretty easy argument that it's legs first. I've had to learn to try to get the hands to keep up with the feet kind of thing as I've grown through my career. Still have some learning to do at times, but no, for me, it's just continuing to try to get quicker. But it's the legs feed the wolf, and those are for me. If I can get those going early in a game, get a couple bumps, get physically engaged, legs feel a little bit lighter, feel like you're moving quicker, and that's a huge key to my game.
Did you talk first with Lindy Ruff or text first with Lindy Ruff?
Phone call from Lindy right away. Yeah, no text messages.
No? And how was the
No,
conversation?
no. It was great. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the first things he was excited to have another Western League guy on the team, which was great. I mean, I was happy to hear it. So, no, it was really good. All the talks I've had with all the assistant coaches and Kevin, it's been nothing but getting me really excited to be there. The future, like I said, looks really really bright. And it's a great opportunity that I'm stepping into.
Okay, so when you heard the trade had happened, the first thing most players, I got traded from Buffalo to Philly. First thing well, not the first thing I asked. The first thing I ask is where, and the second thing I ask is what was the return. I wanted to know and I was traded for a second round pick. I felt pretty good about it. Is that something you were like, oh, second rounder? Yeah, that's pretty good for me too.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think that's kind of what made it make sense for me. At first, like I said, I was shocked. I was waiting on a contract in Washington. I was getting a phone call, and I was like, "This is odd. I think I'd be hearing from my agent about this." And then he dropped the trade room. I was like, "Oh!" I had to regather myself and figure it out. But no, the return it really just shows you're going to a place that values you and that wants you. And as a player, I think you can agree that's all you ever want. You want to go where you're wanted, and like I said, it makes you really excited to step into a new role with a new group of guys.
One significant date on the calendar before you get here to start training camp. What's the highlight of the summer ahead? One thing that you've got planned to do.
Oh boy. Well, I was sitting down with my wife last night and realized the summer seems like it's just about over already. It's crazy. I mean, biggest thing probably coming up is end of or middle of August. My roommate for my first 2 years pro is getting married. So Garrett Pilon, that's in East Belleville in Ottawa now. So looking forward to that and just getting to spend a fun weekend with a really close friend.
Sounds good.
What did you find any spot here in Buffalo to stay? Did you talk to some of the players as to where you guys are going to stay? There's some city guys, there's some suburb guys. We got a little bit of everything here in Buffalo.
Yeah, no, that's what I was hearing. We really had our work cut out for us trying to pick a spot. I had some good talks with Tucky. I was fortunate enough he's come out and trained here in Vancouver a couple times, so gotten to know him a little bit. He was saying, yeah, there's a few guys out in the Clarence, Williamsville areas, and then a few guys down in that waterfront area. And my wife and Abe Kubel's wife are very close. They found a place in the waterfront area, and we were fortunate enough to find one there too. So
Oh, good.
we're gonna be down there near the rink. Looks beautiful in pictures. I have no idea what it's
Yeah.
gonna be like throughout the year, but no,
It's
it looks
beautiful
like a
now.
nice.
It's really
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
now with some nice days.
Yes.
Yeah, so looking forward to the September's there, and then we'll brace for the cold after that.
I was going to say, proceed directly from the Pilon wedding, since you're going to be in Ontario, and get here for as many extra days as you can while summer lasts. Beck, thanks so much for the
All
time.
right.
Really appreciate it. And back to the workout, I suppose.
Absolutely. Pleasure to meet you guys. Thanks for having me.